guys, welcome to ARWP, the All Real Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Novak of the Wrestling Republic, and today we have a special guest. He is Paul Robinson.
Hello, how are you doing? You alright, yes?
Man. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
No, I'm good, thank you. So I was just got in for parents' evening. So got dad head mode on at the moment. Sit down and do a podcast about wrestling.
That's the life, you know. That's the parent life.
It's alright. It's good fun. Enjoy it.
All right, so let's talk about wrestling. Let's talk about why you decided to take wrestling as a professional.
Oh, geezer, I think it's like everyone else, isn't it? You watch it growing up and you're on the school field with your mates when you're like 8, 9, 10, fighting and wrestling. And then I think, God, it must have been about year 7 in school. What year was that? Like 99, 2000, me and my mates started backyarding. And then we joined all like the backyard wrestling forums. And then we found out there was a wrestling school. I think that was 2001 or 2002. So I started training around then at Dropkicks Wrestling Academy. And yeah, that was my in, really. Like I was spending my summer holidays in year 10 and 11, which I don't know what that'd be high school wise or whatever. But like, I was like 14, 15. And I used to do like all the holiday camps and that in the summer holidays when I weren't at school. And yeah, that's what got me. I think it was like I was the only one out. We had a little group of mates all started at the wrestling school at the same time. It would have been 2001 or 2. And after about 6 months, I was the only one that was left going. And I think I had my first trainee match on a training show it was March, was that 2003? So yeah, and that was my in. Dropkicks Wrestling Academy back then was run by Tony Scarlo and Frank Rimmer. And that was, I mean, I don't think people know of them so much now, but it was old world of sport wrestling. 5 minute rounds, 5 rounds, best of like 3 falls. That was my into wrestling. It was, I think my first bump, so I'll talk all day long. My first bump was like a Ric Flair bump off the top rope into a 12-foot boxing ring. Wow. And it was climb up the top from the outside, take your bump and get out and practice your bumping on judo mats. My aim was all world of sport, professional wrestling, if you like.
How did you wrestle in the boxing ring with the ropes? I heard that like wrestling with the boxing
ring.
It's
rotten. You don't run the ropes, but to be honest, we were encouraged then not to run the ropes. So there was no need to. And the only time you'd run the ropes is maybe like a tie up and then a roll off, or you rarely were we sending each other off and doing like crazy indie spots that I call them now. Like you was there to wrestle. Do you know what I mean? If you broke, you'd have to allow your opponent up. You couldn't just jump on them and then you'd tie up and go back to wrestling. There was no need to run the ropes. The bumps hurt though. But again, we weren't throwing each other around like we do now. Like you do a suplex and sell it. And I mean, that you wouldn't need to keep doing loads of moves. But it was a different sort of... I was brought into it in a different world, if you know what I mean. It wasn't... Even like the wrestling school weren't advertised as American pro wrestling. It was you going there to learn to wrestle. And I think that's where a lot of us got our start. Even like Martin Stone, what was it? What's he wrestled as? He was in WWE. Danny Burch? Mm-hmm. No, what was his name? Oh, is that his name, was it? Yeah.
Danny Burch, yeah.
Yeah, no, there was loads of us that went to Dropkicks and we all learned to wrestle. Like Darren Burridge, Shah Samuels. Mm-hmm. There was loads of us back then that we learned to wrestle before we learned to jump around.
The UK definitely brought in a lot of phenomenal talent. But before we talk about like everyone moving where and I just want to talk about the start of it. What were the obstacles there to go along the way? As starting off with wrestling, starting off with Dropkicks Wrestling, what were the obstacles at your age? Where were you? So,
I was a kid and I was like 4'2".
So tell us.
That was always going to be it. But I was lucky because I come in at a time where there weren't loads of people doing it. Mm-hmm. So the fact I could jump around and do a few flips was enough. Do you know what I mean? And even like up through the 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, people would still they'd refer to me as one of the best flyers around. But I weren't doing anything as advanced as what you see now. It was just what I did was simple and did it well. But the expectation was a lot lower then. Do you know what I mean? So I could get in there with a big geezer. He could throw me around. I could flip about a little bit, and it wouldn't be half of what you see now, but it was still more than what you would have seen then. So I was lucky in that sense, but at the same time, I was still small and young. But I think I knew that. Do you know what I mean? I've always been aware of that, so I don't. It's different nowadays, but I didn't act like I was 6 foot tall and expect to act like a big man. Do you know what I mean? I knew my role, I knew my place, which I think is after battle. Do you know what I mean? So that helped me. But yeah, no, it was always a challenge. But as long as within wrestling schools, you get your head down and you graft, there's nothing in your way. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which I was willing to work because I'd sort of come from a kickboxing background where I trained extremely hard and kickboxed at an international level. So to just transfer, like, put that effort that I was putting into kickboxing into wrestling, it was just a transition. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, I enjoyed the training. I'd say any wrestler learning to wrestle now, enjoy your years in your training school and learn, because you'll never get that back. Now, once you're out there doing shows, you can't go back to your training school. And you're always learning, you're always training, but it'll never be the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
I mean, for some people that could be a blessing and a curse. You know what I mean? People don't want to necessarily go back to how they started and taking those bumps.
No, you do though, because you want to. Like, I get it now. Like, when I do a seminar, I like to be treated like I'm Paul. Do you know what I mean? Don't treat me like, if I'm there to teach you. I get you want to show respect and stuff like that, but I think too many people getting their eye horse in wrestling. The ego goes to their head a bit, and like you can't allow it. So I like to go back to a training school and, like, we swearing on here, or is it?
Yeah, you can swear.
Yeah, like, I just go back there and be treated like a cunt. Do you know what I mean? That's what you want, and it just brings you back. Like, that's what I need when I go to a training school. I just want to go in there and graft, and then treat me the way you treat anyone else. Don't treat me like, oh look, he's doing shows, so we'll let him take it easy. No, you get in there and then you graft. So
all right.
No, I like going back to that.
All right, interesting. So do you do a lot of seminars? Do you do a lot of like?
I do. I try not to do too many because, like I say to people when I do them, I'm not a teacher. Mm-hmm. I'm a professional wrestler. So like, and learning to teach, people go to uni to do that stuff. So me just doing a few seminars, I'm always learning to teach, and I always start by saying that, and then my training is like, I'm not here as a teacher. I'm here as a wrestler, teaching you wrestling. So I don't know the best way to teach people. So I need like a two-way sort of communication when I'm doing a seminar. What can I do better to help you gain as much knowledge as possible? And that's what I like. And people will open up a bit more, as opposed to, you see, like, a lot of people there, they'll drill certain ways in a training school. Like, I'll never tell someone to do something a specific way. Not necessarily a lot of things, because every training school is different. So if I show you something, a lot of people, I've seen it, they're in training at a seminar, for example, and they're like, you see, like, they'll teach, even just a posting, like Irish whip to a corner, and you'll see them, their head go, and you can see them thinking, like, I've been taught differently somewhere else, and they won't say anything. So like, I like to engage though, and I open that up in my training seminars. Well, if I'm teaching you something, and you've been taught it a different way, let's, like, tell me, we can talk about it, and we can look at the benefits of your way and the benefits of my way. Mm-hmm. And you might find a middle ground, and you'll learn. Do you know what I mean? So it's a lot of that in my training, my seminars. It's we're all there to learn and yeah, get better.
All right. I wanted to mention this. I was talking to Billy, however you like to call him. And
Sue Ospreay stuff.
Sue Ospreay. And he was telling us how, when he was 14, he got a ring. You were there, and you were teaching a lot of kids how to wrestle. You were kind of like the veteran at that time, at that place. What do you have any memory of that? Do you remember those days?
Yeah. Oh, mate, yeah. That was, I couldn't say what years that would have been like. Probably. I couldn't, 2008, 9, 10 through, like, from there on. Really, it was. it was fun because that was where the backyarding come in. So what it was, we all used to backyard. We had our little place in Canvey Island. He was in Raynham in Essex, and we used to travel everywhere. And I think we first met up in Aylesbury because where we were camping there for like a week, all wrestling in a ring that was there. And then I found out obviously where he was, and yeah, I'd go down there and I can never watch if I'm watching wrestling. And I feel someone benefit from any input I've got, and they're willing to listen, I'll give it to them. So I don't care if we're just in a garden messing about. If someone can do something better and I can tell them how, I will. Do you know what I mean? I enjoy that. I enjoy teaching it and passing on the what I do know. Because I think a lot of it is getting forgot.
So where were you? Where were you at that point? Like at that point when, you know, he was 14, where were you in your stage, in your life?
So like what, 2008-ish? So 2008, oh no, we'll go a little bit later than that. 2008, mate, I lived in a caravan for 6 months in a farm in Yorkshire for reasons. So yeah, after that, I suppose mate, I couldn't tell my... 2010, I was doing a lot of work for Lucha Britannia around that time. I would have done IPW. When was RQ? There was, like, to be honest, I can't tell you what was when. It sounds so long. When I look back over what is nearly 20 years now, it all just, it's hard to pick, like, for me to pick out what happened in what year. But I know around that time we were doing a lot of festivals, actually. I was wrestling at a lot of festivals with a company called Lucha Britannia, which was fun. And obviously around that time, 2010 and 2012, I had children. So I suppose around that time, I probably spent less time, I did less shows around them years compared to later or prior to that. So it was probably actually a quiet time for me, if anything, because reality kicked in. I started my career that I'm in now in 2009. So them years were sort of more head down and concentrate on reality, because I've never looked at wrestling as a full-time thing for me. I'm realistic about who I am in terms of the way I'd be portrayed on television. I'm never going to look good in a WWE or AEW ring, because you probably barely see me over the ropes. Like, I'm not going to be able to get in it. But I feel like live, people get it. So I feel like I could work on a TV. If people see me live, then they see me on TV. They'd get it. But because I've never looked at it as a full-time thing. So yeah, I sort of, my late teens, early 20s, or early 20s really, I got my head down and sort of focused on real life. And then concentrate back on wrestling.
So let's get real for a second. Let's talk about real life, because when fans watch these videos, they look at wrestlers as one perspective of their lives. So you took a break. Yeah. You took a break because I wanna analyze what you said, and there's so much to talk about. You took a break of wrestling to focus on reality. You didn't believe wrestling was a reality at the time. Where were you mentally with that idea? Something that you love to do, something that you cherish. In your mind, it wasn't a reality. In your mind, you believed you needed to find a real job, this and that. Where were you in the stage of your life mentally?
Oh, I was good. I've never, at the end of the day, even if I was doing any sport, I'd never put all my apples in that basket, because all it takes is a proper injury and you're done. It's not a sport where you've got sort of long-term insurance and stuff like that. So no matter what, like where I work now, my granddad done it, my dad's there, he's retired now, my brother's like on the same firm. So it's like, I knew I was always sort of going to go there. I did my school work experience where I work now. So it was a career I always wanted anyway. So it's not like my day job isn't something that's like, oh no, I enjoy my day job. So it's not, and then the fact that I get to go and moonlight as a professional wrestler, do you know what I mean? It's like being a superhero of a night. Like, so I'm happy with that. It's an escape. Do you know what I mean? I feel if it was a full-time thing for someone like myself, I would then need something else to escape that, because it become work and a job. Whereas even if I wrestle 3 times a week, it's never felt like a job. doing the holiday camps, wrestling 2-3 times a day for weeks on end. It never felt like a job then because I knew there was an end to it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd have me come down. Then you'd look forward to the next one. So it was never for me. It was. I've never pursued it as a full-time career. I've never had that desire anyway. Not to say that if it was offered to me, I wouldn't take it. If I was offered, say like New Japan, like Will, I wouldn't say no to it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, because I've never strived for it in a way, I'm not disappointed to not have it. Had I not spread myself so thinly, I might have done more in wrestling. But at the end of the day, if I was be genuine now, and you'd say it to any wrestler looking back, if I was ever gonna pursue it as a proper full-time thing, I would have gone to the gym and worked harder than I had at that. Do you know what I mean? It's real because I've got work and other things. I've always been in shape, but I've never looked to get huge because there's no need. Not for me. I can feel the role that I feel the way I do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely.
And I don't know. I reckon if I was stripped too far out of reality, I wouldn't be able to be the person I am in the ring.
All right, that's fair enough. Yeah, because in this world, people are dreamers, people are realists, and.
Well, no, that's it. I the real. Like my character isn't fake. Do you know what I mean? I enjoy going out and having a fight. I couldn't do that if I was representing an organisation. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get and I feel like I need a bit of that. That's that part of me that I bring to the ring. So, in a way, I reckon I'd sacrifice.
One over the other.
I like being me. Yeah, I'm happy with myself. Do you know what I mean?
So, do you currently still, to this day, work outside of wrestling?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, so I've been at this firm now for 13 years. Work on the gas board. So. And I started at the bottom, and now I've worked my way through. And do you know what I mean? I've got a decent job, company car, and I live all right. So yeah, I couldn't. There's not many pro wrestlers driving around in a brand new E-Class. So do you know what I mean? With my real life, it's all right. So I don't need wrestling, if that makes sense, financially.
Yeah. So let's talk more about, as you were mentioning, because I want to analyze that part. So you talked about what it means to be a realist and how, the job played a big example in life, because wrestling never felt like a job, because it felt like, one ends, another one comes out, another week, and it continues, and that feeling is always there. So that's great. Yeah. Now I want to talk about education. I want to talk about school, because you said you went to school. How was school for you? I know for a lot of people, school's very difficult. It was
all right. I wasn't. I didn't enjoy the school part of it, the education part. But I like going and seeing my mates and playing football all day, every day. School's all right. I went to college. I think their biggest mistake is your first day when they turn around and say, right, you're not in school anymore, you haven't got to be here. And I ended up with, I got a job as a lifeguard at the swimming pool next door, and ended up with 13% attendance at college. Because I was too busy grafting, I was working. I wanted to work and earn money. So, I dropped out of college just shy of a year. I think I did the year. And then, because I didn't get any GCSEs in school, I got 5 E's and 4 D's, I think it was. So I screwed school, didn't have any what they call GCSEs to then take forward. So I did some NAF college course, give that up, went and worked, and then it worked. That was it. I left college and just started working. Got a job on the electric, and then started on the gas when I was 20, and never looked back. Because that's an example. People a lot of people say it, and a lot of wrestlers use it as they'll be I did crap in school, and look at me now. And it is that cliche, but yeah, I got no GCSEs, I've got no college qualifications, but I've got other qualifications now that you'd look at and you wouldn't believe it. I've got a lot of health and safety qualifications. I'm doing my NEBOSH qualification, which is the equivalent of a degree. And people I'm intelligent and smart if it's something I want to learn, but not school. So school was, I didn't enjoy school. Not the work side of it. I got to school every day 45 minutes early because we played football. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It weren't. So I just enjoyed it. It was social, wasn't it? School.
So let's talk more about when wrestling started booming for you. When did wrestling start becoming very big? I remember you started tagging with Ospreay being the Swords of Essex. I know that played a big role. When did wrestling start taking a lot more of your time? At what age?
It was actually, it picked up for me. It wasn't like it picked up in terms of I did loads of shows. I was still doing the camps, which is something I think people miss out now. Doing the holiday camps was great. But then, 2005, I started working for RCWA, which at the time was a big company. They were pulling in, I'm guessing here, they were filling halls with 180 people, which at the time they were indie wrestling fans. It wasn't your casual fans so much, and that was a lot. They were sellout shows, and then that went. I suppose I've always worked consistently. For me, it picked up. It felt like it was doing the Will Ospreay, tagging with Will, doing Rev Pro and then Progress, because there was a lot more then. So I'd sort of not done as much for a few years. Then all of a sudden it come back to life. And I remember I see John Briley. I think they had done one Progress show, and I see John Briley, and that was I went up to him and he had obviously had the same conversation with a lot of people. And I said, look, John, I'd love to work for Progress. I said, something to the effect of, but I know you don't need me. I said, you got Will Ospreay and you got this and that person. They can do everything I can do. Do you know what I mean? So you don't need me. I said, but if you ever have someone pull out, or you ever need someone last minute, give me a bell and I'll be there. And then I think it was the next show or the show after, for my first chapter, it was 2 or 3, I think, and someone pulled out, and I got a phone call. It was either the morning of or evening before, and I was there. So, that was when I felt things started to really pick up. It was when I got the Progress gig, and with the coinciding with the Rev Pro stuff, where me and Bill won the tag titles, wrestled Rich Swann and Ricochet, because that was funny. I remember he was getting really excited. We had Rich Swann and Ricochet one night. And then the next night we had Sanjay Dutt and no, he did the Macho Man stuff in TNA. He's in AEW. Mate, it's gonna. Anyway, I was more excited about this match because I'd never even heard of. So he's going, "Oh my God, we're wrestling Ricochet," and I think they were Inner City Machine Guns. Is that right? And I'm like, mate, we're wrestling Sanjay Dutt. Because I was CGW and that back then. So I used to love all that stuff back early 2000s and Ring of Honor and all that. So that was more me when I was getting into going training schools and you trade tapes and stuff like that. So I was into it then. So I was all hyped about wrestling Sanjay Dutt, and I'd never even heard of Ricochet and Rich Swann. And then obviously the match, he made me watch some videos and I learned who they were. So that was when it felt like it was getting exciting. And then again, the heel turn in Progress, that was another sort of elevation. And then again, winning the Proteus title, it sort of elevated again. And so, it's it almost feels like, in wrestling though, it's a lot of things. When you're doing something, you think that's the most important and most exciting thing you're doing. And then you get something else and you're like, oh shit, this is... So it always feels like you're doing exciting stuff. Because even at the time, in 2008, 9, 10, I was doing Glastonbury Festival. And one night we wrestled in front of 6,000 or 7,000 people. It was they weren't wrestling fans, they just happened to be in that tent and that area watching the show and that. But it was at the time, that was the coolest thing I'd done. Do you know what I mean? So I'm never going to look back and say, in a way, this is the moment. Because I've got a portfolio up there with so much cool stuff in that you wouldn't we wrestled at the Brit Awards after party. It's British Music Awards ceremony. We wrestled at their after party in front of all the celebrities.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? So, and that was probably 2011 in time. So that's 11 years ago now. So I've had 11 years of memories since then. So that's why I've got that folder, because otherwise I wouldn't remember half the stuff. I've forgotten a lot more than I remember. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you're taking a lot of concussions, every time you wrestle. It's not shocking to not remember every match.
Yeah, it does happen.
All right.
I've got really it's all coming up again. I've got all these bald patches over my head at the moment when my hair won't grow.
That's a lot. That's most people would see that and quit. But if you quit, what's the fun in that? You know what I mean?
No, I love the business, the sport, the show. I'd never that's why people can't retire, because it's an addiction. You can't. I love it.
So that leads me to my next question. So do you think you'll ever retire from professional wrestling, or do you think you're just doing it till?
I'll do it for as long as I physically can. Because a lot of people, I did sort of, in theory, semi-retire a few years ago because I had a blood clot. And because of my blood condition, I was told I wouldn't be able to wrestle again. All right, so that's why I said, I never quit. I just said I won't be doing it as high a standard as what Progress was, where you're expected to do what they call now like the strong style wrestling, where you're going to get hit. So...
For me, that was more deathmatch wrestling. To see what you do, how almost every match.
Do you realise though? I hadn't actually done that many death matches.
I mean, every time usually almost after your matches, it looks like you just came out of a death match. You know what I mean?
I think so. You get cut. But the problem is, it's like flipping old Nate Diaz when he gets punched in his eye. I've had that many cuts now. Like my boy could come up and hit me on the head, and it'd go boom, and he'd be like, "Oh mate," do you know what I mean? So that's half the problem. It's just like the scar tissue and stuff. And then, it's going to sound like a bit gross and going a bit... I get like a lot of ingrowing hairs because of the scar tissue. And then it's my head's an issue. I just seem to get unlucky with it. But it is what it is. I'm going to a match, but look, I don't want to bleed. And then something happened, and I'm covered in claret. So... It's fine, isn't it?
I guess it's part of the job for you now, I
guess people get to the point people expect it. Do you know what I mean? They're wondering why I ain't bled. So what? But nice. It ain't good either when you're going into work the next day and you're sort of talking to a customer or something and you got like lines over your face.
Does anyone at work ever ask you? They're just like, "Hey, how'd you get that scar? This and that."
Yeah, no, I get a lot of them know now anyway. Because I've been in the same company for so long, the word gets out, and if people don't know, they've likely heard something, and then they'll hear it, and they're like, "Oh, you're the wrestler." Yeah. But I think a lot of wrestlers get that in their place of work outside of wrestling. But at the same time, I've got promoted a couple of years ago, and in the area I am now, less people know, which is nice. Because people don't. I don't get... Well, I was an engineer before, now I'm sort of an auditor. So people don't come to me and ask questions about my private life now. So I just don't... I try not to mention it.
Yeah, you don't want to mix both worlds together, you know what I mean?
No, not now. I'm in the position I'm in, because I don't want people I'm going out and having to sort of sometimes supervise seeing some of the stuff I've sort of said. In front of the camera.
Yeah.
So
you talk about you wrestling from promotion. You're talking about RCWA, correct?
Yeah.
So.
I love RCWA.
So to talk about that, when did RCWA really start? Because again, when I spoke to Will, he told me that was your name, the company that you guys created back in his backyard and everything.
Yeah. So Bill created it with his mate Ash Deering. To be honest, I couldn't tell you exactly created it, because I think... So it would have been Bill and his schoolmates. Then Ash was a couple of years older, but he knew... I don't know. So that was probably 2006 he probably started. I don't know. How old would he have been then? Oh, mate. I don't even know. That's the thing. So it would have been, probably then. So I probably started going down there sometime around 2010. Maybe. And then it was great, backyarding. We just used to do it in Bill's garden. You'd all wrestle there, and then someone would go home, upload the media, and they'd make music videos and put them on the backyard wrestling forum, and everyone would vote and talk and break down and give you criticism on your videos. It was so funny. And then we started doing some shows in a place called the Royals. It was a little hall in Raynham. So we'd do them in there, but we know they were still backyarding essentially, but we had a ring and we were in a hall.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no crowd. I mean, we weren't.
No,
like,
I saw videos. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's it. So we'd do that, and then we'd do like some charity shows and stuff under RCWA, local school like fairs and fates or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started running shows. So again, I couldn't tell you what year we did our first live show, because it was like the live shows slowly developed into like he'd had loads of friends there. Then he'd suddenly start, and then more and more people would come, and then all of a sudden it was like overnight, click, and then he was advertising it, and he was selling out a little hall in Raynham all the time. But back then, I didn't. I stayed out of the inner workings of what was going on. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have a lot to do with. I'd always give advice if someone wanted an opinion, but I didn't help run the company. Do you know what I mean? I've never been in that position.
No, I'm curious how a company that was a backyard became its own promotion. You know what I mean? And the fact that you were.
Yeah, a lot of it's like it's between Bill and his mum Sue. So like, Bill had the wrestling side sorted. He knew all the wrestlers. Like, none of us. Like, I don't think we wouldn't have been getting paid back then. Do you know what I mean? It was like we were doing it because if we weren't doing it then, we would have been doing it in his garden anyway. So and then his mum is amazing. So she's got this drama school, and she just brought like her knowledge of running shows to wrestling. And she like had her little tuck shop, and she'd help do the seating and the tickets and all the stuff, the promoter side, if you like. So between Sue and Bill, they did what a lot of wrestling companies should be doing now. Like, don't be this big indie promotion that wants to travel everywhere and do big indie wrestling shows for the sake of doing it. Mm-hmm. They got a local crowd, do you know what I mean? And they kept going back to the same place, and they didn't oversaturate it and run 3 shows a month. Do you know what I mean? I think back then it was probably 4 a year. I think it was like 1 a quarter back then. They slowly built interest. Do you know what I mean? To the point where they could sell out a 500-seat venue once a year, and that's all they needed, because this is what worked, and it's what I think. Like, it's why you're All Star, and I don't know. Would you have heard of All Star Wrestling?
I heard of All Star Wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like Dixon's been going years, and it's only because like he makes more money probably selling foam fingers than he does tickets sometimes, because he's got that market and he knows what works, and he goes to the same places and he's travelled around the same venues for years. And like, if something ain't broke, don't fix it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's the old way the British thing worked. And then it worked for a reason. Not too many people try and like run before they can walk. Do you know what I mean in wrestling?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And they didn't.
So how did it become a promotion that it is right now? Because now you're wrestling for.
Oh mate, it just happened. Like it just slowly. That's what I'm saying. Like, they just slowly developed. It weren't. If you watched like a show at like 3 years apart, they'd almost look completely different. But then you watch one in the middle, you'd be able to pick bits out of each show, because it was no one there was there for the money, so we weren't like demanding high wages and all this. When they could pay us, like we always get paid now because but back then it was I say it a lot now. Like a lot of the time, if I can see a company's reinvesting their money into the company and they love the product and they're going to give it as much sort of love as I will, and you don't mind so much. I mean, like, you could see Sue and Bill weren't going out and spunking all the money up the wall. They were reinvesting it in the company. Every time you go there, there'd be a different, like, they had massive wall banners, didn't they, the wrestlers? Every time you go, they'd have different ones, new ones. Oh, these are new wrestlers' joints. We got in one. New canvas, new ring. Everything was always getting better and improving. And I think that only, like, excites the wrestlers, because you can see the people that run the promotion care, and Sue was enjoying it. Bill loves it, like, and so it feels like it's a family. So, and like they're the promotions that always work best. When you all feel like a team. And I mean, Sue's put out recently, there's a show, can we do a fete? It's an unpaid promotional gig, local village in Raynham. You can guarantee, I reckon at least probably 70-75% of the wrestlers will go out their way to make sure they're there. Because you just want to give to them. Because they give back. And so, it was just a slow evolution. There's nothing to put your finger on. They just built it the way it should be built.
So who runs RCWA right now? Like the one that you're at?
Oh, mate, I was hoping you could tell me. No, it's Sue Ospreay and Dave Gibson are the two behind it now. And then you say that though, then you got Nikki and there's all these other people that they're the two that I'd go to if I had a serious question, but there's a number of people that are behind the scenes that do other little bits and bobs that it's not run by any one person almost. It's a collaborative effort of a little group. And that's not me included. There's this sort of Sue and her little posse out run things. And even down to like during the shows, coming to El Power, you might have one of like Bill's old schoolmates. Because he still talks to them. And they're all good. They'll get on with Sue because they all went to the drama school, some of them. So they all know Sue. So she can phone them up and be like, wait, get over here. I need you to sell some sweets at a show. And it's a real group effort. It's brilliant.
All right. So now let's talk. I mean, that's amazing. I actually didn't know most of that information, but wow, that's really cool.
No.
And everyone that's listening are going to be shocked that like a promotion that was about backyard is now its own actual arena type of thing. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So let's.
But even down Sorry, go on.
I just want to talk more about your wrestling and more about like some matches you've had that maybe people, even myself, have not seen, and you think we should definitely check it out. I know RCWA has like a network now, like its own thing.
It's on Powered 4 TV. So if you go Powered 4 TV, I think there's a few codes out there. I think I've even got one where you can get discount and stuff, and so or you get a 3 month. So I think one of them's Ospreay. So if you go on Powered 4 TV and use the code Ospreay, I think you get like 3 months. And there's loads. RCWA are on there, and DNA, TNT, got some stuff on there. So there's loads of content on there. But no matches that. So even back, mate, I can go back like 2006, I think. Like I wrestled Matt Seidel and Delirious in a 4-way. It's cool. Like I wrestled Generico at IPW.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, it was like the promoter goes, right, I want you like you're losing. Take the brain buster on the top rope. And I'm like, all right, whatever. The way I see it in wrestling, like I do as I'm told. That geezer's paying me wage. He's my boss. I'll do as I'm told. So I go over. I'm like, oh yes. Like he's asked for the brain buster on the top. He's like, nah. What? He goes, no, brain buster in the ring. Sweet. All right. So yeah, just did as I was told with that one. But yeah, again, I learned with that. I'm trying to think of also. Mate, there's loads. The Kyle O'Reilly match.
You had a match with Kyle O'Reilly?
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Super
that.
Strong Style 16. So that's a match I'd love to do again because I think I wrestled Darby Allin.
I've seen
Saturday.
that one. That's actually what got me. That's actually what got me like as a fan of you. I've seen that match once, and I was like, okay, let me do more research on this guy. And that's all the Swords of Essex stuff and everything. It became like a whole thing.
No, that was fun, man. That was a good match. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But no, the Kyle O'Reilly one. So I was nervous, right? I can say I was shitting my pants. I've never been that nervous in my life. Never.
Why? And, why were you nervous so much?
I don't know. I think it was partly my cardio. The fact that, like, what you got to think is, as much as I like a rat, when you're wrestling, you're literally going... There's a certain wrestler out there at the moment, right? He's hard as fuck, apparently, right? Where you let people kick you. You let them do it. And you... Like, Kyle O'Reilly ain't a little bloke, and compared to me. So knowing he's going to boot, like, they're going to kick the crap out of you, and you're letting them. And there's hard as fuck wrestlers out there, though, that do that to you, and then, like, you go and hit them, and they put you end up hitting their shoulder because they're not what they say they are. And then, so people like Kyle O'Reilly, I knew he was going to be hitting me hard. And I knew what match, like, I knew what the expectation of the match was. I knew what we were going to do. I was worried about the cardio. It was a big weight, because all it was going to take was a few of them decent kicks to the chest, and I'm done. Do you know what I mean? Like, then you got to start running around, and with the screaming and shouting that I do, I think I was really worried about the cardio. I've learned to manage that now. And breathing, mate. I tell you, any wrestler out there, breathe. That's all I'm going to say. Just breathe. Think about it, right? So I remember getting back from the match. I was fine. weren't puking or none of that. I was good, thanked him. And I just remember thinking I could have put in so much more effort and done so much more had I not had that reservation about trying to keep that bit more in the tank throughout the match. Mm-hmm. And there's certain things I did and decisions I made during the match that I look back on and I'm like, I'd love to go again. And things like, I don't know, I doubt myself sometimes when I'm in there. So I'll go to, I might want to do something, but I'll do something else that's not as difficult because I'm worried I weren't going to be able to pull it off. So I think, my confidence weren't great. Mm-hmm. And then again, so I'm not going to bitch out on progress because, but I had the death match on the Monday. So I knew I was having that match on the Monday. Mm-hmm. I think that was the Havoc's last one. And this is dead honest, I'm not, they asked nice, I was compensated well, I'm not moaning. But I asked not to do death matches that weekend. I wanted to have 3 solid wrestling matches. Yeah. And because as much as I love death matches, I love it once I'm doing it. I was really trying to I want to be seen more as a professional wrestler. And I was looking to drop the jeans a little bit and just do a bit more in ring. And I think knowing I had that on the Monday, I was never going to... you have to sort of, for me anyway, I have to go to a different headspace when I know I've got that sort of match coming and I know it's happening. She was never going to get the full me on the day before anyway. Yeah. Because you're going out there and almost killing yourself the next day and you know you're going to be doing it. It's a weird one. That match I'd love to do again. I've gone on a little bit tangent then, but the Kyle O'Reilly one, I'd love it again. Just because I can do better.
So, Kyle O'Reilly, I've never seen that match. I gotta check it out. Is it on the RCWA network?
It's online. It'll be on. I assume so. I assume it's on Progress. He's for my money. He's one of, if not he's alongside your Ospreays. He's the best in the world. Kyle O'Reilly. Geezer is amazing.
So, are you happy now that he's no longer with WWE and now that he can wrestle? Well, I'm sure with AEW.
I can't say that.
No, I'm not saying you're happy he got released. I'm saying, are you happy that he's back now in wrestling? Because WWE is its own circle.
I get what you're trying to say, but man, AEW could have done so much better with what they've done with them.
Okay.
For me.
No, it's your opinion.
Why aren't they wrestling FTR? Do you know what I mean? If you're doing something long term with them, get some think of the matches they could have and build. Instead, who did they wrestle last week? I remember what
the Dinosaur, Jungle Boy, and Drive.
That's it. Yeah. And man, that was it was hard for me. That was hard because it was it was. I think I heard it on a podcast recently. Actually, it was like watching PWG version of it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It weren't. I wanted imagine imagine them two in New Japan and the matches they'd have to have there. That'd be sick. I feel like they've gone straight into the AEW style wrestling too quick. I'd love to have seen them work, FTR. Even the Briscoes. Imagine them against the Briscoes.
I get what you're saying because I remember they had a match with the Time Splitters in New Japan, and that was insane. And I haven't seen anything like that yet from him at least.
No, you're right. That's what. Once I see they were coming out, they knew they were not going to be doing WWE. I was thinking of all this. I think that's half the problem. I was thinking of all these like the wrestling matches I could see, and instead we're getting like the indie wrestling matches, which I love, and I do plenty. I've done plenty of them like that style myself. But with them and knowing what they can do, there's a few of them like.
All right. Yeah. So this is my next question, because who do you want to face? You know what I mean? Since you're still wrestling, since you're still there, you're still at your best. Who are a few names you want to face that you want to like get bookings with? So Kyle O'Reilly is definitely one, and that's gonna be
Kyle O'Reilly be top of the list just to get that redo. But there's not. I've always said this. I've just always been grateful. I'd love to do TNT. That's one I'd love to go to. Again, I've got to be honest. I'm not sure what's hot at the moment. Again, like I don't.
Like it's wrestlers. It could be anyone that like you want to be
wrestling
company. Yeah, wrestlers.
Again, I'd love to like. Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot there, and I've got to think. Cara Noir. No, I'd love to do a Cara Noir match now.
Okay.
Jonathan Grisham. I feel like a big man. I'm joking. I enjoyed I've wrestled more because for so long I was as small as it got.
But all of a sudden, here's the thing. Being the height that you are, that does not matter as much now than it did then.
No, that's it. No, that's what I'm saying. So now sometimes I'm wrestling people, and they're like my height, and it's like learning to wrestle again. Because I've been so accustomed to like, even down to like you see these wrestlers do like striking, like strike-offs or whatever. It'd be like I'd always oversell my shot off the big guy, and then maybe try and get boom, 2 in back, and then one big one from them. Now, like I'm hitting people, it's like, oh, I'm stronger than you. And I never used to feel that. I've always felt like at any point, a lot of these wrestlers, if they pick me up and just lob me out of the ring. But now, it's weird. You learn to wrestle again. But I'm trying to get people I want to wrestle now because this sounds so silly. Like I never go into a match like thinking, oh, this is that sort. Like I've just said with how nervous I was with O'Reilly, but I didn't treat him different because he was Kyle O'Reilly. I just treated him different because I knew what was going to happen and what he was capable of. So like for me, I can go out there and have a match with Will Ospreay one night and learn and do stuff I've never done. Then I could wrestle a trainee the next night and have as much fun like carrying him through a match or like, you know what I mean? Or getting him to try and carry me through a match. So I just enjoy professional wrestling. I've never got sort of captivated by names and, oh, wow, he can do this and he can do that. I just enjoy going out there with a partner and telling a story and like eliciting that emotion like from the crowd, getting that reaction. And that's what it's about for me. It's not about, oh, you're amazing, you can do this, let's go out there. And I'll have all these ideas. But when I get to like a wrestling show and like we're chatting about what's going to happen, a lot of my input is these small little tweaks like this and that, and then just give me a second. And it's about getting that reaction and the pantomime side of it. That's what it's about. That's what professional wrestling is to me. It's not I can go out there and forearm you 5 times in the jaw and you can power up and then forearm me 5 times. That's just crap. It's like, I'd rather we just do one each and play the crowd and they'll react just as much. So it's hard for me to sit here and say, oh, I want to wrestle this person because I enjoy it. Like literally every match I do, I enjoy it and I love it. So it's weird. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not bothered by who I'm wrestling so much. Just let me go out there and learn and entertain.
One match that I love, like to my heart, is you and Ospreay, the Swords of Essex versus Aussie Open. That I don't know if you want. I mean,
oh man,
yeah.
That was fun. Oh, I enjoyed that. Oh, mate, that went long as well. I remember the ref come up to me at one point. He's like, Paul, we're going half hour. It's Ospreay match. That was an experience, yeah. That was
really good storytelling.
You're on about the TLC, yeah?
Yeah, the TLC, yeah.
You see the 450 off the stage.
and
brilliant.
The storytelling was really good too. Like, the whole build up to that, the storytelling with that. That's why I brought it up, because you're talking about, like, it doesn't matter who you get in the ring with. It matters with the story.
A lot of that was Bill, to be honest with you. Like, Ospreay, he wrote a lot, like, he basically booked it. I'll sod it. I don't tell you what I want really now. It's years ago. So we were meant to win them one night and lose them the same night, the tag title. That was meant to be it. And Bill's like, no. Like, he put the whole thing to them, and then they were like, all right, New Japan. He went and spoke to New Japan, come back in the room, and was like, no, right, it's happening. And that was it. Like, he booked it. That was all. That was, apart, like, yeah, we might have all had, like, a bit of input, changes it, but the idea and the base of it was, it was laid by, like, Bill.
Oh, wow. Well, let's talk about your actual match with Bill, the most recent one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. There's a lot to talk about in that match. So let's start with, before even the match starts, the promos. Where you and him both had promos. You guys talked about it. You guys go way back. So before we talk about the match, tell the people who, Bill is to you, and, what relationship you guys have before we get into it.
Mate, I've just spent the last 5 nights sleeping at his house looking after the dogs. I love him, man. He's like a little big brother. He's I ain't got enough good things. You ain't gonna get any bad out of me, really. But to him, like, a lot of people say, like, I trained him, and I think I said it in the promos. I never had to train him, because he was always gonna be where he is now. It was just a matter of when he gets there. So it was more about guiding him and like teaching him how to play the game of wrestling. Do you know what I mean? And how to act, and when to say what you say, and, like, made sure he weren't getting taken the piss out of, because someone that young and that capable and that willing, and he had the desire he had, it would have been easy for people to take advantage of him. And then I sort of more wanted to look after him for that. But it's not, again, like, then it becomes your part of his family. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could have been at work and I could pop in and see his mum for a cup of tea. Do you know what I mean? While he's in Japan. Like, so it's not just Bill. It's like you're accepted into this world almost. So that match, it was Bill wanted to, for obvious reasons, like, he was like, no, look, I'm going to wrestle you. I even up until the day before it was announced, I messaged Sue and said, like, look, am I being selfish letting him do this? And she put me right. And it was Bill that sort of put it together. And then the promo work, I think I got the idea, and I contacted John Scott over at Howard 4. And he was willing to come out, and we filmed that stuff in Southend. Bill saw that and was like, shit, that's fucking, like, brilliant. And he gets so excited. People might think just because he's been wrestling, like, not supposed to, like, forever, but, like, for as long as he has where he has. Do you know what I mean? And, like, he's like got to New Japan and doing America when he was so young. Yet, like, So John's turned up and he had an idea of what he wanted out of Bill's promo the next day. And Bill had note pages, like, full of stuff he had written down. And so we turned up at Bill's, and he was like an excitable kid to do this promo.
Mm-hmm.
And it got John, like, he was like, fuck. Like, he's Ospreay, and he's, like, excited about doing a promo for RCWA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it was, yeah, and we filmed his, and, man, I was nervous for that match. Again, it was down to cardio, though. That's Chael Sonnen says it about UFC fighters. He's like, it's never your physical skill that you're doubting. It's your ability to continue doing it. Do you know what I mean? And your cardio.
Mm-hmm.
It's your cardio. Your cardio will fail you before your mental or physical strength a lot of the time. And that's the wrestler's biggest worry. And it's often like a fighter's biggest worry. Am I going to be able to see the end of it? And because I hadn't done a lot of wrestling and I've been promoted at work, I've gone from like digging holes every day to driving up and down the country. So I weren't physically doing as much, and no cardio you do can ever replicate wrestling. Never. Like, so I was so nervous for that match. Like, there was bits, I remember there's bits like we had that we were going to do. I'm like, cut that shit out. No, he's like Paul is in the ring. He's like, Paul, you can do it. I'm like, no, I fucking can't. Let's go on. Like, oh, mate. So, but that, again, though, the fucker knocked me out with his little wooden blade, didn't he? But, like, a lot of people say, oh, you're getting... I think the problem is, once you get knocked out so many times, it gets to the point, like, you get a bit of a glass jaw. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he called me nice, and then, yeah, next thing I knew, like, I was puking up backstage with a running to do, and I'm like... I love that. It'll always be special. And again, it's an example of Bill going sort of above and beyond to help his mates out. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about more to what's happening now. You know, you brought up New Japan. You brought up if you ever want to wrestle in New Japan. Have you ever done any of like the tryouts? Have you ever pushed for more than just wrestling and trying to get noticed? Have you ever done any like tryouts, or have you ever emailed any? You know.
No, I've never. Again, like I was sort of. Again, I could have potentially had a WWE NXT UK gimmick.
Okay.
Like, I was at Progress. They ran one in Brentwood. It was discussed. But there's no... I don't see the point. I'm not going to be a WWE wrestler. And I'm not... So, like... No, I think I did a... Like, they were here and I would do something. But I'm not... I've never pursued it. And I've not had, like... Again, like, for example, if I was serious about going to New Japan, why haven't I spent, like, at least 2 years in a gym getting beefy like all them boys are? Do you know what I mean? Like, because I don't... It's not my desire. I'm happy doing what I'm doing over here and giving back to the UK scene. I mean, again, it's not to say if I was offered it, I wouldn't say no. But if I really wanted it, I would have pursued it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not going to sit here like a lot of wrestlers do when they reach my point. And they're like, I wanted to do this, wanted to do that. Well, no, if I really wanted to, I would have just fucking done it. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah, I get it.
Because it's as simple as that. If you want something or you want to do something, you do it.
Do you believe that if you went to the WWE or AEW or whatever, they wouldn't use you, your character, who you really are as a wrestler?
No, because they couldn't take it serious. Because wrestling's larger than life. Like, no 6 foot geezer who weighs, say, like 250 pounds is going to really believe that I'll have him. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, not realistically. But you put that geezer in a pub, get him the mouth off at me, then put him on a wrestling show the next day, he's going to be, like, cacking it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's going to need a change of pants because he knows. Like... That's the problem, because I'm not intimidating as a person. Like if I get all angry and that, even like when I get like Robbo, like get all like that, the proper big geezers ain't gonna take it serious. Not really. I'm laughable on TV, but yet if you actually see me get like that and you see the result, and then which is why the live audience I was saying earlier works better for myself, because people need to see that it's not fake. Do you know what I mean? Before they realise that before they believe the gimmick. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I could never be used as myself unless there was a true, like, it's different in, say, somewhere like New Japan, where you can truly stick to this junior heavyweight division, and you're not going to get anyone exceed. Do you know what I mean? But even then, I'd need to be one of the at least heavier guys within the division. So I'd need to put on a lot of muscle.
They have junior heavyweights. They have IWGP junior, titles.
That's it, and they tend to stick to their division there, which is where it would work.
Mm-hmm.
And I could do that. But again, though, I'm not sure my character's as transferable to like a Japanese market.
Well, there is New Japan Strong now. That's
yeah. But if I did that, I'd have to stick. Which is why you got your WWE and AEW though. It mixes. Everyone wrestles everyone.
Mm-hmm,
do you know what I mean? But as much as I could it's a weird. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was stuck with people my size all the time, I could do my gimmick. Like or do that. Do you know what I mean? But because a lot of the bigger companies they mix everyone about, it wouldn't work for me because I'd only get so far between when the geezer's too big. It's not believable.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you put me in my weight division or at least a lower weight, and I'm not going to exceed that. Then it becomes believable because then you can have I could do my thing, murder someone, no one can stop him, and then that one time a big heavyweight could come out and he'd be like, Paul's never scared of anyone, he fights anyone, and I'll back down because he's a bigger geezer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It'd work in that way, but not the way a lot of modern professional wrestling shows are, where the bigger guys are. I'm lucky the British scene's full of smaller guys or guys that look like they can't fight their way out of the paper bag.
All right, so we're dying down to the final question, and it is: what are your goals after this interview? What are your goals for the next few years? What do you want to accomplish? What are some things you are having coming up too, like events that are coming up that people should definitely check out? What is going on with your life now at this moment?
At the moment, I can't say too much, but there is stuff happening.
Okay.
At the moment, no, I've just got you. So I've got your RCWA, your DNA. I'm slowly sort of baby steps back in.
Okay.
And next year, 23, is the one where I think you'll get your Robbo back, if that makes sense. It was never going to be a busy year this year. But next year's the one. Just keep an eye out. That's all. I can't throw too much, but things are going to get better. Let's just say that. All right.
All right. And as we are coming down, is there anything you want to tell, the fans? Is there anything you want to tell in general to anybody who's listening to this interview and listening to you talk?
No, man. To be honest, thank you if you've made it to the end because I know I ain't got the most interesting this. And again, I'm not. It's getting that wrestling head on of an evening. I'm just going to thank everyone for the support over the last couple of years. A lot of people have reached out, a lot of people have messaged, a lot of people, every single one of you. Thank you. It means the world. It's the first one he's done in a while, and it's nice to talk wrestling, to be honest. It's just been nice to talk about wrestling.